Musical Talk.
We have just seen A Tale of Two Cities, a new musical based on the novel by Charles Dickens, with a book by Stephen David Horwich and David Soames, with music by David Pomeranz, and lyrics by Stephen David Horwich, never seen as many Davids in all my life, and directed by the great British theatrical talent that is Paul Nicholas. I'm here with my friend Robert. Hello, Robert.
Hello.
I told you one review I read of the show and it was absolutely dreadful, but we've been to see it and we disagree, don't we?
Yes, I don't think it was dreadful at all. I think it's quite a good show. It's a pity, however, that it's sort of so close to Les Miserables, because I think the show will suffer by comparison with Les Miserables. But it's a nice score and a sort of well-plotted book. I think it does some justice to the novel in plot terms. Obviously, you can't condense a very complex novel like A Tale of Two Cities so easily into 2 hours and 40 or 50 minutes of performance, but they do quite a good job notwithstanding.
And we're in a very small theatre, the Charring Cross Theatre, formerly the New Players Theatre, which is an old music hall, wasn't it?
Yes. It was a place where the Players company used to do a music hall regularly.
It's a big show in a small theatre, isn't it?
Yes, I'd say exactly. I think that they did well. I think Paul Nicholas made it seem like a sort of semi-staged production, if you like, and I think that was wise. Two grand pianos at the back of the stage, and then just period chairs which were moved around. I think that was a very good approach to the production.
Pianos played beautifully, and I might add, and sort of very. I mean, you mentioned earlier one doesn't have to, but one has no choice but to compare it to Les Mis. I think I put on Twitter, it's like Les Miserables but less miserable.
Yes, it's actually a very sort of full of hope and faith and heroism, the show. So it's not as quite as glum as Les Mis.
Jonathan Amsel is starring, as the sort of man who becomes someone else, and then
Charles Darnay. And I thought that he gave a very good performance. I thought there were a number of very good performances.
Carl Wilkins, though, but then again, you have no choice. You know, he's donned in a powdered wig and he's warbling in a high tenor voice. It just becomes that, doesn't it?
There's not much you can do with that part, because even as Dickens writes him, it's very straightforward, sort of rather sentimental stereotype. But I thought that Miss Pross was rather good, the woman who played Miss Pross, Pippa Winslow, and I particularly liked...
The standout performance, I think, of the evening was by...
It's Gemma Alexander as Madame Defarge. She's absolutely stunning. I think it's one of those virtuoso performances. Gemma Alexander was from the London School of Musical Theatre.
Okay.
And she's a fairly recent graduate.
She's absolutely brilliant.
Yes, she is brilliant, and it's a wonderful and dramatic performance and brilliantly sung.
She has a sort of breakdown, doesn't she, when we won't reveal the plot twist, but I certainly didn't see that coming.
Yes, no, I think she manages everything she has to do brilliantly and very convincing, given the short space of time that's allowed for the development of the drama.
Would you see it again?
I'm not sure. I think if it were to get a West End production, I would go again, though I don't think it's likely to get a West End production because I think it's too much like Les Mis.
It's interesting how Les Mis is a show that has sort of it's become the West End's double-edged sword, hasn't it? It's made the West End what it is today, but then it's hard for any show to come along and try to be tuneful and heroic and have a moving story without being compared to Les Mis.
Yes, I think it set a standard, especially for historically based epics, which are really based on melodramatic plots. All the great Dickens novels, Victor Hugo, they are great melodramas. And I think, once it's been done as beautifully as in Les Mis, it's very hard not to think that you're seeing the same show recycled in different ways.
Even Boomer and Schoenberg can't even do it again because they haven't, other than Miss Saigon, they have, they did a Civil War one, didn't they? And they did
Martin Guerre.
They did the French La Révolution, and they did Pirate Queen, and they all sort of died, didn't they?
Yes, I think they've tried to vary the formula, but I think apart from Miss Saigon, they didn't manage to vary it enough.
How would you improve this production of A Tale of Two Cities?
I don't think the production could be improved, actually. I think the production was very good, but I think that a couple of songs might be cut. I think it perhaps went on slightly too long, and I think that there are moments when you wish they would just speak. There would be dialogue scenes rather than immediately, because someone has just died, go into a sort of song of lament. I think that at times was a little bit obvious, and I think that's part of the problem of shows which are almost through composed. This wasn't through composed, but there are moments when you feel you're watching a through composed show, and in a sense there's too much recitative style singing.
The issue I had with the music was it was very tuneful. I enjoyed it. I recognised tunes when they came back, which sometimes it's hard to do with some shows. I like the simplicity of the two pianos, but it doesn't give an idea of style when all you're doing is ballad after ballad. But when the stylistic songs do come along, you don't know what style they're doing because you don't have the instruments to let the audience know what style that is.
Yes.
I'd like to see it with a couple more instruments, at least a violin or something, just to give it a bit more flair within the orchestral writing. But the interesting thing is the arranger for the music is John Cameron, who orchestrated which show, Robert?
Les Mis.
Yes, the original Les Mis.
It is interesting. I did think that some of the songs were...
The opening is very...
Yes, absolutely. It starts like Les Mis. But I think that the songs eventually started becoming a little samey. But I think that you're right about the orchestra. I think if there'd been more instrumentation, they might have been able to work for a range of styles within an overall...
piano and a keyboard, perhaps, which could, as much as I hate it, imitate other instruments.
Yes, I think that's true. I think it did seem... you have to be... The music has to be very, very fine, I think, just to be played on two pianos all evening.
And I want to give special credit to the lighting design, which is by Howard Hudson. Very beautiful and I think quite effective at some points.
Yes, I agree. I think that the lighting was very important in creating the atmosphere throughout the show, given that there wasn't really any change of scenery. The lighting did it for us.
The one song which stood out to me as being very enjoyable was the kind of the musical comedy song, which was between Mr. Jarvis and Madame Prost, and that was sort of that reminded me of the Hammerstein conceit, where they sort of sing a love song to each other, but they don't say they're in love.
Yes, I Remain Unwed, the song was called. It was really quite funny and very well performed by the two performers playing Miss Pross and Mr. Laurie. Yes, it was a sort of an anti-love song, but it was a satirical one, almost in a Gilbert and Sullivan vein.
And special credit also to Michael Howell, who plays Sidney Carton very, very well indeed. A bit too old for the role, I would say, but then again you get experience within the actor playing the role.
Yes, I think he, of all the actors, gave a depth of experience to the role. It is a more interesting role than Charles Darnay, but he held the evening together, I think, as a drama. You really couldn't get a better actor than Michael Howe in that role unless you paid a very great deal of money, because you'd have to have a star, if somebody with real star recognition, if you didn't have him.
Well, A Tale of Two Cities, a new musical, is playing at the Charring Cross Theatre from the 5th of April to the 12th of May. If you want more information, www.charingcrosstheatre.co.uk. Thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.